Welcome back to the WMMA Today podcast. It is apparently International Podcast Day, and here we are doing a podcast on International Podcast Day.
How fitting.
So our lineup is kind of different today because there's really no news, much like last week. We have one piece of news that kind of sucks, to be honest, but we'll hit on that. And then there's some Bellator recaps, the UFC 253 recap, a RIZIN 24 recap, and then we move on to Bellator Milan 2, and then the Bellator European Series, and then UFC Fight Island 4 with 3 fights. So let's start off with the news. Esther Lin of MMAfighting.com is leaving MMA Fighting after 11 years with the site. This is notable because Esther Lin is, in my eyes, and I tweeted her out. I sent a big, you're awesome type tweet to her. She's amazing. She is, in my eyes, the best MMA photographer. I know there's a ton of MMA photographers out there that kill it, but Esther Lin she's the best to me. I don't know about to you, Drake, but to me, she is awesome. I met her a couple of times at a couple of events. She's super down to earth. Man, it hurts for MMA. It hurts for MMA. She's awesome, dude. She's fucking awesome.
Yeah, you kind of said it right there. Super down to earth, and I've had the pleasure of meeting Esther as well, and hanging out with her multiple times at multiple events that we've covered now.
Yeah.
And it's funny because she's one of the bigger names, I think, in terms of media and obviously status and whatnot. Blue check mark, been in the industry for so long now and all that. And some of those people, I'm not naming any names whatsoever here, but egos get inflated, whatnot. People act like they're a little bit better than you. Some of
Not
them can
her.
do that. But yeah, you meet her and
No.
it's pretty much exactly the same as you see her on, if she's doing podcasts or whatever, you see her online.
Yep.
However you see her, it's the same as what you get in person. Just a genuinely good person and obviously a phenomenal at what she does. As you see this, I wanted to choose this picture because it perfectly defines how dedicated she is to her craft. Somehow getting up on the rafters. Still don't know how she managed to pull that off at the Conor McGregor, Floyd Mayweather. I don't even
Amazing.
remember what that thing was, but
That's literally the picture that I tweeted out at her. I said something to the effect of, you were taking a picture, an iconic picture, but you're the icon. I mean, look at her. Look at her above all of the other photographers. Who the fuck does that?
so
Well,
perfect.
Esther Lin does that. That's who Esther Lin is. She is the best MMA photographer in my eyes. And I mean, I'm seeing, everybody who's here, Stamina, Dave, they're agreeing. Esther Lin is amazing. She's the best, man.
Yeah, and that's really kind of the saddest thing about it, I think, is because of how genuine of a person she is, and really, I don't know if anybody could have anything bad to say about her, especially that has met her. But
Not if you've
part
met her. Not if you've met her. No.
part
I
part
mean,
of
I would honestly probably call you a liar if you were gonna say anything about her, say anything about bad about her. Like I honestly don't think that you've probably ever had a conversation with her.
yeah, if that's the thing, if that's how you feel, and that's why this is a really sad thing. Obviously, the reason behind it is she, as she's described today and everything,
Yeah.
she can't really do her job to the same effect because
Right.
can't go to events and photograph the same way. She said she hasn't gone to an event since March, of course. But then also noted just how the rampant toxicity of the community, which is like, it just shows you kind of how ridiculous the MMA community can be when somebody like her still gets shit. And, when it's just that's what makes it so sad is that also has played a factor. Surely not as big of a factor, especially if she was able to work consistently like this and things got, the same level of bad as they have in terms of toxicity in the community. But like, it's just a bummer that is a part of it at all when it definitely should not be, especially for somebody like her. But
Somebody
yeah,
who's
man.
been doing this for forever. I mean, like she said, 11 years with MMA fighting. Like
That's only with
MMA
MMA
fighting,
fighting too. She
and
was with
that's
Elite XC before.
exactly. And MMA fighting at their pinnacle, because MMA fighting was, if y'all remember, they were the number one MMA news site for quite a few years. Esther Lynn was at every event taking photographs for MMAfighting.com, for that website. She helped build what MMAfighting.com was. I used to go to MMA fighting for everything first, before any other kind of news, MMA news. I always saw Esther Lynn's photographs. She's an icon. She's an MMA icon. She might not be a fighter, but in the MMA community, she's an icon.
Yeah, everybody knows about her. That's if it's media or the fighters that have seen all of her photographs. I mean, even if you don't know, even for those casuals that don't know who she is, you've probably seen her work. I mean, and that's just,
Yeah,
man, I can't even
absolutely.
imagine being like, you know, being that's a different kind of level of a fucking accomplishment. I would say, like, sure, people have read my articles and don't know who I am, but it's kind of different when there's so much of her stuff that's so memorable and something that people cherish so much. These insane pictures.
Dude,
Um,
it's crazy because she would get so low to the level of the fighter's like feet, but then she would take photographs with her camera up, and so she would have like a crazy ass view of of things that were happening in her pictures. She's phenomenal. She's just amazing. Like she had the brilliant eye, the brilliant mind to capture these iconic photographs, MMA photographs. She's just a fucking badass. I mean, what more can we say other than Esther Lynn? You're a fucking badass, and thank you for all of the photographs that you've given us over these many years.
and Dave, I think Dave puts it best right here.
People have been celebrating her work for years and just don't know it. Yeah, I mean, we see her like Drake was saying, we see her pictures, not even knowing that it's her.
And that's the thing. Well, for us, it's like, all right, if we don't know, I'm going to assume that was Esther. That's just the thing. It is the
Yeah,
go-to,
I
right?
mean, there's a lot of good. There's obviously a lot of really good people who are photographers for combat sports, but Esther Lynn has been there for so long, and she went to so many. She was at so many events, and man, she took crazy pictures. Like you look at her portfolio, and you're like, holy shit, dude, such a great picture. I remember that. Because if you're a visual person, you remember you remember the photographs first. And I'm totally a visual person. Like I remember visually before anything.
Yeah, definitely. So, gonna miss, hanging out at events and I mean, I miss going to events in general right now, but yeah, whatever she's gonna do next will surely kill it. Obviously, I said she wants to do like some voiceover stuff
She's
and
doing
whatnot. She's been
voiceovers. That's dope.
working
Yeah.
on that kind of thing. But MMA retirements never last, so I'm sure we'll see her again someday, hopefully.
I
Because
mean,
it's a much better community with her in it. We don't deserve her, but hopefully she does come back at
I
some
would
point.
assume that she would go to big events, that are kind of, if she's not really busy or whatever, she would probably take good big events and do her freelance work and stuff like that. I would assume so. She's always going to be the best. So why wouldn't she? I mean, she's the best.
Yeah, good way to put it there. And for you guys who haven't read all of her comments yet, you can check them out. Either they're
It's a big
threaded in
thread.
here, so
Yeah, it's a big thread.
plenty of comments there. But we can move on. We will miss you, Esther, and best of luck with everything. So
Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay, so um, the Bellator Milan recap. I didn't watch this event, um, so I don't really have a lot to say. But there was a strawweight fight with Giora Penko. She defeated Alexandra Toncheva in the second round by elbows. Was it a good fight? I mean, I know you watched it.
okay, so here, I guess let's talk about this before I tell you about the fights because I think that you will find this absolutely hilarious. Did you catch any fights from this event, first of all?
No,
Okay, all
none.
right. So they had I don't know if they had both of the KSW commentators, but they had one of them. They had the one guy who I'm assuming he's American, but not the crazy guy. You know the crazy guy that KSW has,
Oh yeah,
like
yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
really over the top guy. If they had him, he was toned down, super low, but the other guy was definitely the other KSW guy who's really he's got a distinct sound to him too, but he's American or he's not European, let's put it that way. So they had whoever this other guy was. It kind of sounded like him, but he wasn't fucking, full KSW ramped up, jacked up ridiculousness.
Love
But he
KSW.
still that guy's horrible. um, he still made some hilarious comments. Okay, so this event started off with these two strawweight fights, right? Bellator, as we all know, does not have a strawweight division, right? They just have flyweight and they just have the featherweight division. And, we ask about the other divisions all the time. This guy, after the other fight, the Danny Nealon and Claire Lopez fight, which I'll talk about this after this one. After that fight was over, he was like, it's so funny to me. He was like, the Bellator strawweight division, man. These strawweights right here. This division is the best kept secret in Bellator. I was like, because yeah, I guess maybe it is because it's not a fucking thing. They don't have a division. It was just like, and it's funny because the other guy he ignored the comments completely.
Oh,
Like
he didn't say anything
he
back.
didn't give into him at all.
That's
But it was just
hilarious.
like, I was like, dude, yeah, I mean, sure, but I mean, even that's a bold claim because there's no secret to it even at all. It's like not a division. So I thought that that was hilarious. Um, and just showed if it probably was the same guy considering they said that because that's something that he would say. um, but as for the fights, I guess I can just I don't have much to say about the Danny Nealon one either. That was what it
Second
was.
round
These
finish and
are
RMC.
yeah, that one was a better fight. As for the Penko one, she okay, in both of these fights, all four ladies, their striking was not very good. But in this Penko one against Tanchova here, she got taken down twice in each round and then was just on her back the whole time, and was working from the bottom a lot better than Alexandra was working from the top. But the weird thing was, so she won this fight, TKO, elbows. I should have put punches too. It was like elbows and punches, but officially they ruled it as elbows. So Panko got Toncheva in a triangle, right? It was a pretty deep triangle, but didn't seem to be too problematic in terms of finding the submission. And Panko is doing hammer fists, some elbows in there. Nothing too crazy though. Not, I mean, they were landing obviously, but they weren't doing a whole lot of damage or coming so in such repetition that it was a big problem. But the fucking referee stopped it while this was happening, while she was in the triangle, taking not too bad of punches from that position. Obviously wasn't getting out of it, but my mind just goes to, okay, we look at that stoppage. And then let's go back and look at Sohee Ham versus Ayaka Hamasaki 3, that second round where Ayaka was in a triangle for literally like 4 minutes of that round and eating terrible shots the entire time. That fight didn't get stopped. But this guy, Todd Anderson, referee here, he stops it for some pretty average ground and pound, punches from a triangle. And if you just compare those, it's absolutely insane that this was stopped when Hamasaki was able to survive and take much worse of a beating than Tancheva was, who was surviving. Just kind of hilarious. I mean, refereeing lately just has not been very good, huh? So that was my biggest note from both of these fights.
Yeah, refereeing has been
but,
complete shit lately.
Yeah, not great. But in terms of who looks like a better prospect, I mean, I guess Penko, but really
Penko.
they both her and Danny Nealon, who won the first fight before this, they have a good ways to go. I would like to see them in Invicta next. They were only on this card, I think, because they're in Europe right now, and Bellator wanted to put some on the card, so that's cool. I'm totally fine for more opportunities like them getting to fight on Bellator. That's awesome. That's great. Don't pretend you have a division like the fucking stupid announcer said. But, commentator. But yeah, I mean, I would love to see both of them make their way to Invicta and continue to improve because there's definitely some potential. They both got finishes.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's
and they're rather young. I mean, they're young, so
yeah.
I mean,
I think both
we'll see.
I don't know the exact ages, but
yeah.
So we will see. But that was that Bellator event. So we had our lone UFC fight as well.
Yeah, only one UFC fight on the card, on the UFC 253 card, which was a decent card, I guess. I mean, all the way up until the championship fights, I guess they were pretty decent, right?
Yeah, I mean, those were fucking sweet one-sided performances, but sweet performances for the winners.
Yeah.
To put it that way.
Yeah. Jan looks like a beast. Izzy looks like himself. I mean, pretty good stuff from them. So the bantamweight fight, Catalin Vieira beat Sijara Eubanks. Unfortunately for me, if you follow along, I like Sijara Eubanks. But I mean, Catalin was better. She was better on this night. She took it 29-28 on all three cards by the judges. It was a good fight, though. It was entertaining. It was super entertaining.
Yeah, Ketlin, she was just kind of a step ahead, I think.
Throughout
those first two rounds,
she was definitely a step ahead. And then
Sijara
turned it up the third round, but it was too late.
Yeah, definitely. But at the same time, I feel like Ketlin was also fighting a little bit safer than we were used to seeing from her. Yeah. Because coming off that devastating loss, just trying to get back in the win column, I think we either see that in these rebound fights where the fighter comes out super hungry to right that wrong that happened in maybe their first loss or a big loss, which was she had both of those things in one fight against Aldana, or they'll come out and play it extra safe to try and get the win. So I wouldn't say extra safe in this case with Vieira, but safer than I expected, that's for sure. And with that said, if Sijara came into this fight with a full regular camp and not having fought 2 weeks prior, and then Vieira showed up the same way, I think it would have been a whole lot closer, unfortunately, for Vieira. But hey, circumstances will get you, right? This is just how things played out. So yeah, solid win to get back in the win column, but obviously doesn't boost your stock too much, I would say. I mean,
yeah, I don't think so. I mean, the rankings are right now: Jermaine Duranamy, who we'll get to; Holly Holm, who we'll get to; Aspen Ladd, who's out because of her knee, right?
Yeah, something like that.
Juliana Pena, who we'll get to; Raquel Pennington, who's ranked number 5. maybe. I mean, otherwise she
I
would be
still want the
fighting down.
Yana fight.
Otherwise she would be
Still,
fighting down. Yana Kunitskaya is ranked number 8, while
oh,
Ketlin is ranked number 7. But I mean,
okay,
Raquel Pennington is eventually going to need a fight as well.
yeah,
So is
yeah,
Aspen Ladd. Maybe she'll
yeah.
maybe she'll get up for an Aspen Ladd fight, who's ranked number 3. You know?
That's probably the most interesting stylistic matchup out of those
Yeah,
3 opponents you just listed. Like, I love the Yana fight. I think that's a really good one, but Lad versus Vieira, very interesting because Vieira very big, and then got the judo and the BJJ black belts.
yeah,
Her wrestling, just very talented grappler, and we know Lad's a very talented grappler as well. Vieira probably the better striker. Lad's not that good of a striker. That's a very interesting fight. I think that'd probably be perfect next. Actually, I mean that or the Yana fight, but yeah, nice to have some of these options like that. I mean the Rocky fight would be fun too, but I
yeah.
think
I think I
Vieira
think
would probably.
either of those fights would be good. Would be good for her. Aspen Ladd or Raquel Pennington. I mean, they're both, you know, they're down to fight.
Yeah, definitely. So
I would take the lad fight though. Like, I think it would be super fun. Lad versus Vera. Sign me the fuck up. Yeah, I mean, exactly. It's an exciting fight.
yeah, that is good. It just depends on when she'll come back, obviously, and then when Vieira wants to, how soon she
Yeah,
wants to get back in there. Which I don't think she took too much damage in this fight, but you never know. You never know. And interestingly enough, though, Dana said, was that today? Yeah, he said it today in an interview that he no more Fight Island for the rest of the year, which I don't think that's actually surprising if you look at the calendar is pretty mapped out now. So maybe January, which I guess that's not too bad, but I'm just assuming that Vieira isn't going to be fighting in the States for her, these during this time period because she lives in Brazil and all that. And all the international fighters, for the most part, are not fighting at the
yeah,
Apex. So will be interesting to see how that all shakes out,
yeah. I
location
agree.
wise and everything. But yeah, some fun options though, man. Yeah, the lad.
Super, super fun.
I
I
might
mean,
want the lad one over the Yana one now.
well, I mean, the
Yana
Yana
versus Pennington, and then lad versus Vieira. How about that, guys? Does that
that's
sound
pretty
good?
high. That's pretty high for Yana though. Well,
Yeah, she's right up there
she's
though.
ranked. She's ranked 8th. Raquel's number 8, 5. That's good, I guess. Irina Aldana is ranked number 6. She's fighting this weekend. She's main eventing against number 2 Holly Holm. So yeah, I mean, I guess Yana Kunitskaya and Rocky would be good, and then Aspen Ladd and Ketlin would be phenomenal. I mean, I think we all agree that would be a good fight. Vera versus
Yeah.
Pennington equals laundry day for Doctor Strange. Do you not want? Yeah, I mean, we just haven't seen that same Rocky who was in a title fight against Amanda Nunes, who got to that title fight against Amanda Nunes.
I thought she looked a lot better in the Renault fight, but
Well, yeah, I mean, but Renault's not like she's not a heavy striker like
true.
like
Yeah.
Raquel Pennington is.
Yeah. Just a case of the matchups and all that, but yeah,
Yeah,
I don't know. But I mean, there's only one way to
I
find
mean,
out.
I personally think that Ketlin and Rocky would be a good fight. I I'm down for either Ketlin, Rocky, Ketlin, Aspen Ladd, and then I guess Yana and Rocky maybe.
Yeah.
That would be fun. I mean, they're all good matchups. Bantamweight division's really fun, actually.
Now
You know,
things are
especially the top.
changing.
Yeah, especially
Well, I
the
mean,
top.
even the back end now. We got Jessie Jess revitalized. We got Panny still making her way up.
Yeah,
Macy will be back at some point. There's somebody I'm forgetting. I literally just had them in mind and I lost it. Well, I mean, Julia Vila's still there. That's not who I was thinking of, but there was another person. Fuck.
Nico
Oh well.
Montano,
Nico, that wasn't who I was thinking of, but she is still there. It's gonna kill me now. It'll come to me eventually.
Lena
But
Landsberg,
no, she's obviously out for
Sarah
pregnancy.
McMahon.
Sarah is back. Yes, we need to get her back in action. I have
Yeah,
no
she
idea
needs a
who it
fight.
was. I have no
She
idea
needs
who
a
you're
fight.
thinking of.
She's ranked number 9.
Well, she was gonna fight. Who was she? She was gonna fight Nico, and then Nico got pulled. I think that was it. I don't think there was any other plans there, and Sarah's just kind of been out since then, which sucks for her because everyone else has kind of been getting her spots. If you think about it, been all
I
beating
wonder
her
what's
too.
going on with Macy.
Yeah,
That would be a fun fight too. Macy and Sarah McMahon.
that's a tough matchup for Macy, dude. That's a tough one,
I I think it
especially
would be.
after.
Yeah, I think it would be a fun fight though.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean,
definitely. But
Sarah's tough as fuck.
yeah. All right, Dave. We'll catch you later next time, buddy. Thanks for joining.
Later,
Dave's
Dave.
out.
Thanks.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. I'm not totally against it. I'm just thinking about Sarah's wrestling. I actually I saw some stats. It might have been today or yesterday, but in the bantamweight division, Sarah has the most time in bantamweight history for top control at like 50% of the time, or something ridiculous, which makes sense. Um, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. She's a
Damn, I know.
beast. I mean, she's so underrated just because, I mean, she's not really like, she's not out there, you know? She doesn't put
Yeah.
herself out there.
And she was out for a little bit with her second child too,
Yeah,
and then
that's
came
true.
back to I don't remember who. I don't remember who it was actually. No, I don't know.
Yusuf, Yusuf made it.
Yusuf is alive.
Thank you, Yusuf, for showing up.
Yusuf's
Why
alive.
aren't
What's
there
up,
more
buddy?
elite kickboxers transitioning to UFC like Jermaine Durandamy and Valentina Shevchenko? Well, I think that, I mean, we saw Holly Holm. She was a really good kickboxer boxer. Um, she became a champion. There's Antonina Shevchenko. She's a kickboxer, more Muay Thai, but they're really. I mean, they're coming up a little bit, just not really ranked. I don't think like in the UFC yet. Looking at the UFC rankings, you're right. There aren't a lot of women that are kickboxers. A lot of strikers, just not a lot of kickboxers. I don't know.
There's an answer for this, and I will give it to you right now. Um, if you look at these fighters, right? Okay, I know you're specifically saying transition to the UFC, but if you think about MMA now, too, and I guess this still applies anyway, but GDR, Valentina, even Antonina, these are all older fighters. I mean, they're not old, but they started their careers in kickboxing, Muay Thai, whatever it
Yeah,
may be, years and years ago before UFC was even a possibility, right? Now, UFC and multiple other places are options for female fighters that they aren't getting into kickboxing specifically anymore. That's not where people are starting these days anymore because they don't need to, right? It's like, all right, we have the option for MMA now. Like that's actually something we can do instead of starting with a different sport and moving on. Of course, it comes down to cultures too, and just I don't know, kickboxing. It's not as big. It's kind of like well, women's boxing and kickboxing. They're both if you compare them to, unfortunately, if you compare them, like to the men's side of things, they're just not as popular, right? They're not given as good of opportunities. I mean, fucking women's boxing, what they cut the rounds in half, right? I mean, you know this
yeah.
better than I
Two
do,
minute
but
rounds.
some sexist bullshit, It's like,
Two
and then the
minute
pay
rounds.
is absolutely disgusting. They're just, it's completely horrible. Um, how they're
Yeah.
treated, at least in my opinion. I'm
Stamina
not the
said
biggest
Jenna
boxing guy,
Fabian.
but
Absolutely. She's a beast.
oh yeah, she's PFL though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, there are some, but you look at them, it's not like you're not seeing any younger fighters like Macy Barber's, the real young
Yeah,
kickboxers. At least
they're
in
coming up with strikers. They're strikers. They're MMA strikers.
yeah, and you did say Yusuf, you said UFC specifically, like If
Yeah.
we were to go over to Asia or something, like they're showing up in one because they're going to one where they prioritize kickboxing and Muay Thai and
Well,
stuff.
they
Like
give them
you look at,
specific. They give them one gives them specific kickboxing matches, whereas
yeah,
the UFC is straight up MMA.
yeah, but you look at they have the option though too to cross over. Like Stan Fairtex, perfect example.
Yeah.
Started there, and she's like, "Oh, I can do this in the same promotion. Makes it a whole lot easier." So in terms of the UFC, I think it's kind of an age kind of culture thing and a different type of options here. Whereas,
There's there are a lot of
Asia itself,
really good kickboxers in like the Netherlands, of course, Germany.
yeah,
That's where kickboxing is big. Um, who are females? They're just not transitioning to specifically the UFC like you're asking about. Unfortunately, because I mean, unfortunately for women's MMA, kickboxers actually do well
yeah, well, better
if
than
they
boxers, as we were talking about last week. Better than
yeah
boxers.
if they actually picked up a little bit of wrestling or jiu-jitsu along the way, they would they do fairly well.
Yeah, totally. I
But
mean,
they're
I
so
think
but they're so far few in between. It's like it's just really hard to even think about like who's on the come up. We really don't know,
yeah,
unfortunately.
yep. So is what it is for the most part. But speaking of some
Yeah.
of the best strikers in MMA among the women,
So RIZIN 24 recap. RENA beat Emi Tomimatsu. Unanimous decision. Um, so RENA looked great, right? I mean, it was a fun fight. Um, Pretty crazy that I love that picture of her.
did you see what she tweeted today?
No, what does she tweet?
She tweeted like I think it was like four pictures from the fight, some really cool pictures, and
Uh-huh.
um, she said all this thing about how the fight went and everything. And at the end, she's like, because obviously this was 116, her heaviest weight that she's fought at before. And she's like, the world was exposed to chubby Reina. It's like thick Reina was in action this past Sunday. I
It's
thought that was
funny.
funny. Um, but yeah, as for the fight itself and everything, it was an interesting one, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't vintage Reina, a vintage Reina performance. We both expected her to finish Tommy
Yeah,
Matsu,
that's what
and
we wanted, man. Like we wanted, I mean, like what we were saying last week. We just want that fucking Rena back. Like that beast.
yeah, and I think that this was a clear victory for her. Don't get it wrong, but
Yeah.
um, circumstantially, because of all the circumstances around this how this came together and everything, this fight being at her heaviest weight class yet, actually at strawweight rather than atom weight. I know it's only a division, but still makes a difference. Going from atom weight to strawweight is a pretty big difference
Yeah.
actually. Um, and
10
then
pound difference.
didn't have a full camp. Was kind of short notice. Um, I don't know. I just think that it played into these little factors of how it just didn't line up right for her to feel as comfortable as we normally see her, of course. And I mean, still was on point in the striking. She was just a little bit more hesitant and, wasn't too trigger happy, which she never
Yeah.
really is anyway. But she was a lot more patient than she should have been with somebody who was far less of a striker than her and Tommy Matsu. But of course, we also need to we gave plenty of credit to Tamimatsu for being as tough as she is, a total veteran, all that experience and everything. Never been finished by strikes before. Thought that if anyone was going to do it, Rena is definitely the one who is capable of doing it. But goes to show how tough that Emmy still is to take because she still took some really fucking hard shots, especially as the fight went on. Not so much in the first round. Was a bit of a feeler outer in the first round, and then in the second round though, Emmy she provided a scare for Rena, man. Things got scary. Got her down. She got on Rena's back, as we've seen in the past. I'm
Yeah.
thinking to myself, I was like, "Oh fuck, are we
Oh
gonna see
shit,
her?
this is
Are we
it.
gonna see her choke again? Literally, like." But good. very impressive and good defense for Reina to be able to survive against a fucking, a vet, a true Japanese pioneer in Emi
Agree.
Tomomatsu.
Yep.
And then after that, rain down fucking some gnarly jumping stomps to the body, and then the head at the end of the round was fucking soccer kicking, doing all that stuff. So we still got some pretty nice Rena highlights, but in spurts they weren't as consistent as we were used to seeing from her. Still a solid win. And the big news though is that after that there's
Ah,
2 to 3 more fights, which caught me off guard at first. But after having talked to her and looking back on it, cheap plug for Broad Horizon episode 2 if you haven't seen it yet. Spoke to Rena. It kind of made sense to me because she was talking a little bit about, and of course I kind of asked and got it out of her, but talking about starting a family and doing more stuff with her dogs and everything. And then you think about how long she's been fighting, in terms of since she was like 19 or whatever, if you include shootboxing in her whole entire career, obviously not MMA only, but it's like, yeah, she's been doing this for a long time. She's a fucking star. She's probably super rich and like doesn't need to do this anymore, but still wants to get that title if she can. So
yeah, she called out. She wants that Seal Ham fight again.
yeah, that would be that's what we need. That would be awesome to see. I mean, we need Ham versus anybody.
Yeah,
All these matchups that can be made. So
it would be fun. I mean, go down again. I hope she gets it. I mean, how amazing would it be for her to close out her career? As in that maybe being her last fight,
well, that's the
or
thing too. Is I think the fact that she's putting this out here, that pretty much guarantees. If let's say she loses her next fight because they make Hamasaki and Ham
and
four in the
Ham.
meantime, or
Yeah,
something else with Hamasaki, or no, not Hamasaki, with Ham, and then let's say Rana loses her next fight, whatever. If she's leaving, they'll give her that title shot anyways. Why not? Or even if Ham loses, then it's perfect. But we
she's
got to see
beloved.
that before they go out.
She's so beloved. Like, oh man, it's gonna be tough not seeing her on RIZIN cards.
Yeah, I know she always adds a little something to it.
Yeah,
Um,
even though she's a little bit lower on the card now, but
yeah.
it's like she's kind of the big fighter before the big fights
Hmm.
now. Unfortunately, that's how her career has turned.
So I want to present this idea to you, and I did talk about this on my recent guest appearance on the We Are Rising podcast. Shout out to those guys, great show over there, fun talks as always. But uh, I mapped it out. I was like, okay, these. Let's assume this is the last 3 for Rena. This is how I'm calling it. How it's gonna go. Tell me what you think. And okay, so so I'm thinking the next fight. Let's assume that they do Hamasaki and Sohyam 4. All
Yeah,
right. And then on that same card, you do Rena versus Kana 3. Try and give her some redemption there. And if whoever wins that fight, they're totally deserve the next title shot. It doesn't matter, especially against whoever wins in the title fight. And let's assume that Sohyam wins. And then after that, you make obviously Rana versus Sohyam. And then for her last fight, retirement fight, this was also in my interview with her, so she plugs all over. But in her retirement fight, Ayaka Hamasaki, obviously her very close friend, mentor. The only way that they would fight, is if there was a must situation or a special situation. Obviously,
yeah.
retirement fight, really big deal. If it
No,
was a tournament title fight, these are the only ways that it would happen. And think about it, it could be a double retirement because Ayaka, she's older too, but she is not looking
I don't
anywhere
think they'll fight each other,
close to
man.
it.
I just don't think that they'll fight each other.
That's why I'm saying if it's this special occasion.
But I mean, even if it's a retirement fight, like I don't think that they want to hurt each other.
Yeah, it would be more likely for a tournament or a title fight, you think?
Yeah,
Oh, I mean,
like
maybe a title could come into play there, assuming she beats Sohyam or
I mean, I guess it could happen, but I don't think that they'll fight each other. I don't see them fighting. They're such good friends.
Yeah.
They're like super close.
Yeah. We can dream. It's a great fight, though. But here's the real thing, though. I think that as much as I love that idea, a lot more fantastical, right? Obviously, a lot more of a fantasy situation. So realistically, the perfect retirement fight for her is probably actually the Kana Sakura trilogy fight as her.
That would be good.
Can you imagine how fucking big they would make that? Oh
Yeah.
my god.
Yeah.
Reina's retirement fight, looking for ultimate revenge against her number one rival. Whew, that gets me like chills just thinking about how they would hype that.
It would totally suck if she lost 3 times.
Yeah, but
And then if she went out with a loss to Asakura again,
then she'd come back. She wouldn't retire.
Yeah, I don't think we could retire that way. Like she'd be like, "This, I'm not retiring because to a loss to her."
Yeah.
That's like her. That's like her kryptonite at this point.
No, totally. But man, I'd still love to see it. You know, you convinced me that we can do that trilogy.
Yeah, I mean,
but
the trilogy would be fun.
Because
oh, did we lose Drake? I think we lost Drake again.
Oh, connection issues.
There you are, buddy.
I can hear you.
Yeah, we got you. That's what happens when you live in the backwoods.
Okay, good. That's good fun. What's that? We're still having an issue here.
That's what happens when you live in the backwoods.
Okay, well, that was. Yeah, it is. It is because my internet is absolutely awful. But okay, yeah, I think that's about all for the RENA talk. Assuming I can get through here, somebody might be using the microwave, which is the problem. Looks like we're good for the most part.
Dude, the microwave affects the internet. Oh man, you might as well just go back to dial-up, bro.
Yeah, it's brutal out here, dude.
Man, that's what happens when you live in the.
All right, that was RIZIN 24.
Sticks.
Yeah, it sure is. Okay. Oh well. Looks like we'll move on now. That's our recaps for the week, you guys. We got through them all.
Not a lot of recaps.
Right, now we're on to.
Unfortunately, we're gonna go with. Are we starting with Bellator? Bellator 247 preview. The flyweight main event now. Kate Jackson versus Denise Kielholtz. Kielholtz, amazing. Kate Jackson, we just saw her take on Alimale, right? In her last fight?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep, that was her last fight, December, so it's been a good while now. I mean, obviously Bellator kind of just came back still, but
yeah. But this is the main event now because Paul Daly, what happened with him? I woke up and I saw the thing and I forgot to even look at what happened.
Hospitalized for weight cut related issues.
Bummer. That sucks. That's terrible. But Kielholtz and Jackson are the main event now, and Kielholtz is she's gunning for Alimale apparently. She said that she wants Alimale McFarlane. Man, dude, there's people ahead of you, bro. I mean, we talked about this. I don't know if it was last week or the week prior, but the flyweights are really fucking good in Bellator right now. I mean, it's.
I know we forgot all about Denise.
It's one Right, but
There too.
that's exactly it. We ranked like the top 5 or 6, and we didn't rank Denise, which is, I mean, ignorant on our part, I guess.
Yeah.
But
Well, it just goes to show how good the other
yeah,
ones are
exactly. It
doing.
just goes to show, I mean, how good the flyweight division is.
Yeah, Denise is on a kind of a sneaky, quiet little 3-fight winning streak here. I didn't realize that.
She's so good.
Yeah, man. I mean, this is actually, really going to be a pretty fun fight. Striking, obviously, Denise has the kickboxing accolades to her record, but Kate Jackson's a very solid striker in the division as well. So, and very tough in game. So, um, I think she's going to bring it to Denise, who's going to bring it to her, like this should be pretty fun. And then that main event spotlight kind of adds a little something, something. And,
Yeah.
interestingly enough, I mean, actually, if you look at Denise's last 2 wins, though, fucking legit ass submissions, dude. She got an Americana in 32 seconds and then beat Christina Williams. No joking, Christina Williams, rear naked choke to her. I mean, she's getting dangerous everywhere, dude.
She's really turned into a good MMA fighter. I mean, her kickboxing, she's one of the best kickboxers, one of the best female kickboxers ever.
Yeah, here you go,
Um,
Yusef, for kickboxing.
she's amazing kickboxer, but she's really turned into an MMA fighter. She's calling out the champion, Alimale McFarlane. That's how good she is.
I mean, she's getting there, dude. If you get this win here, I mean, she's still gonna have some work to do, probably because of how deep the top is getting, like we were saying. But
Yeah. If
gets you
she
a whole
finishes
lot
this
closer.
fight fairly quickly, fairly easily, which she's been doing, she's on a roll right now. Kate Jackson is tough. Obviously, we saw her
Yeah,
against
survived 5 with Alimale.
Alimale. Right, she went 5 full rounds with Alimale. Um, Not many people do that, but Denise Kielholtz is on a tear. If she finishes Jackson rather quickly without much going on, no injuries or anything like that, she can be in the mix. I'm not saying that she should fight Elena Lake quite yet because we've already talked about Juliana Velasquez, but there's others like Vanessa Porto. That
There are options.
would be, or even a Liz Carmouche. Those would be good.
Lara versus Keyholtz.
Alejandro Lara, right? Those would all be fun fights.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like such an asshole now for forgetting Denise when we were talking about the flyweight depth, dude. Like really.
Yeah, I mean it's when you don't have names listed right in front of you, it's easy to forget one or two people though.
Yeah. But I mean, she's a champ, bro. The KB
Yeah,
champ.
her kickboxing is amazing. She could be one of the best kickboxers, female kickboxers ever.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I mean, definitely has the resume to support that. So here
How do
in
you
this
see
one,
this fight going?
yeah, I think that it's gonna be. I mean, I think it'll be a stand-up war for the most part because I feel like obviously both are most comfortable on the feet. Um, Definitely Jackson, but I mean, with how Denise is showing this, these new wrinkles to her game, it makes you think she might mix it up because people obviously are going to expect her to strike just based on her history and background. But man, when she's showing she doesn't need to anymore, I think it creates more of a mental battle and issues for these opponents of hers now because they don't know what to expect, man. I mean,
Yeah.
how often do you see world kickboxing champions pulling off Americanas of all submissions? Like that's some impressive shit, dude. I
I
don't
mean,
care who it's going against, but
she's not knocking people out with her feet or with her hands. She's literally fucking.
and she had a scarf hold in her second fight too. I forgot all about that one.
It's crazy. Like she's turned into a fucking monster on the ground. That's like her IQ, her combat sport IQ.
Yeah.
She's an all around fighter at this point. You can't call her a kickboxer anymore. She's a fucking legit MMA fighter.
Yeah, definitely, man. I mean, oh wow, I guess I didn't realize that she was also a black belt in judo. So I mean, we're
Yeah,
just so you see, even I'm so used to just recognizing her for the kickboxing. That's how much, she, obviously she's made her name in that area. But
yeah,
yeah, obviously, well versed in multiple areas. Um, so yeah, I mean, Kate Jackson isn't that great on the ground. She's not going to be better in the striking. I think that she can hang in there for a little bit because she's tough and all that, and land some good shots here and there. But really, it's not. I don't, I don't like her chances too much.
no,
Like
Phil Holtz has to knock her out. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if she fucking got like a Von Flu choke at this point. Like,
yeah, right.
but I mean, or a twister or something like that. But you would think, like, as far as what Kill Holtz has done in her whole combat sports career, you would think that she would be able to knock out Kate Jackson.
Yeah, I mean, Kate's only. Well, I think she's only been knocked out by Joanna, so I mean, no shame in that one. But like,
No, but Kill Holtz is she's a
yeah,
beast.
yeah, yeah. Just saying. So I don't know, man. I feel like she might continue the submission streak. Maybe she'll catch something crazy.
Pretty crazy, man. Pretty crazy.
Either way, though, I'll go. I'm gonna say round two. I'll go round two TKO for Key Holtz. Man, I like her finishing ability a lot more in all areas against Kate here. I think Kate's very tough and she's a competent striker, and can land some good shots here and there, but it's just not gonna be enough, man. I don't. From what we've seen from Key Holtz, momentum's a big thing in MMA, and she's rolling, like you said. So
She
round
is
two TKO
rolling.
for.
Yeah, Kill Holtz has to finish at some point. Um, I would probably go round 2 or 3 as well. Just some kind of knockout, a finish.
All right.
Wouldn't
So
surprise me if she fucking head kicked her.
yeah, sure she'll throw some.
She does.
So, all right. Before we move on to this next one here, I do want to note that there are actually two other fights on this card: a flyweight and atomweight fight, surprisingly. But they're between fighters who honestly, we don't know too much about. And I hate to admit not knowing a fighter, but this is the reason we watch these cards, to learn about them more. So
Well,
we'll do
you
the
look. I mean, you look at Bellator fights. Bellator,
in these European cards specifically.
yeah, Bellator brings
Grab the
in
prospects.
fighters from fucking everywhere. We don't know half of them, which is fine. I'm totally fine not knowing who a fighter is, but learning about them.
Yeah, so no breakdown for them, but we'll definitely watch those fights, and then we'll recap them like the other ones that we started off on. So just a little
Yeah,
note there.
I'll end up watching
Flyweight,
this card, I think.
yep, flyweight and atomweight fight. I mean, this card's tomorrow. This card is fucking tomorrow, actually. So Thursday night
Yeah,
fights, or
yeah.
Thursday day, because they're
I think it's
in.
day. I think it's they start at like 9:45 a.m. The preliminaries do
Oh, really?
9:45 our time,
Yeah,
Pacific
yeah.
time. So 12:45 Eastern Standard Time,
Okay.
and then I don't know what time for everybody else.
Yeah. 3 hours ahead for the East Coast. That's all.
Yeah, 3 hours ahead for the East Coast, 8, 9 for Europe, I guess, like 14 for Australia.
Yeah,
Some
exactly.
crazy shit like that. Okay, so Bellator Euro Series number 9. Sinead Kavanagh will take on Katarina Lehner in a featherweight banger. Surprisingly, oh my god, they don't have a picture of Katarina Lehner.
Nope. Looks like veg.
Surprisingly, oh, that's ridiculous. Um, surprisingly, this fight is not on the main card. I don't see why they wouldn't put this fight on the main card, but it's not.
Yeah, for whatever reasons, I mean,
Who
who
fuck knows?
knows? Who knows? Who knows why? But Kavanaugh versus Leonard, I think this should be a pretty fun fight. Katharina Leonard going back up to featherweight for first time since the Ultimate Fighter,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, I mean she's only fought once since then, and that was against Lisa Versosa at bantamweight. Got beat there, no shame in that loss. Obviously, Versosa a great prospect still. And yeah, now moving back up to featherweight against I think I'd call Sinead a legit featherweight. I don't think she's ever fought at bantamweight. Pretty good size on her, so she's
No, she's
fighting.
big. She's a big girl.
Yeah. And man, Katharina, she got that win in a boxing match after the Ultimate Fighter, but two-fight losing streak, only two losses of her career. So, kind of really, I wouldn't say really needs this one. Obviously, she just signed with Bellator. But man, it really would help to get a win here, start things off fresh in a new place and all that. But Sinead Kavanaugh, man, I feel like she's still pretty underrated. And, you look at her last three fights, right? There was the Olga Rubin win, finished her in the second round. Good stuff there, right? That's awesome to
Yeah.
see. Impressive. Then before that, Leslie Smith fight. She lost majority decision, which I actually scored that one for Sinead. Awesome fight, though. Back and forth. Really fun. Relatively close, so I'm not complaining about it, robbery or anything, but just thought she won it. And then the Janae Harding fight before that. That was also an awesome fight. Only lasted a round. I did think she was kind of winning that round for the most part, but Janae caught her with a cut, and I mean it's a fair win. Got the cut and doctor
Yeah.
stoppage in between rounds, but I mean she looked. The point is that I'm making here is she looked really good even in defeat. I think, and then
Yeah.
even if you go back to two fights before the Harding one, she lost to Arlene Blanco, who the next title challenger on a roll herself right now, and that was a split decision loss. So I mean I don't remember that fight very much, but I mean enough if it was enough for a split decision, that's impressive against Arlene. Point is, Sinead Kavanaugh a lot better than her record shows, and than people give her credit for. I would say. Um,
Yeah. No, she was a really good prospect coming up, I thought.
yeah, yeah,
Um, but things happen in MMA. She gets a couple of losses and fucking she's on the Bellator Euro Series 9 undercard. Yeah,
pandemic world, Steve. Come on.
yeah, it's ridiculous to me. But it is what it is, as Max Holloway would say.
Yep, this is true. But I don't know.
So do you
I
have
just
Kavanaugh winning?
yeah. I'm Leonard. She obviously I think that she would had a good start to her career, went undefeated and everything, but she I don't know. She never really showed to be much of a finisher. Obviously had that great win in her Invicta debut against Alexa Connors. Remember that one? Kind of beat her up against the cage. Just
Yeah.
kind of imposed her will. But Alexa Connors, kind of undersized for bantamweight, if I'm remembering her size correctly. Feel like we haven't seen her in a while. She's been bullied before by multiple people. I know Julia Vila has got a good win over her and some other people as well. But I don't know. Sinead Kavanaugh, natural featherweight who's, looking better and better with each fight, even in those losses, like I said, showing the capabilities of being able to finish, pretty fairly consistently throughout her career. Not a whole lot of finishes, but she has, about equal to her wins and whatnot. Um, yeah, I just think that she's gonna be more aggressive and land harder shots when Katharina comes in. And I mean, Leonard's not going to be able to dictate the pace, I don't think, because they're going to meet in the middle. Because Kavanaugh brings the fight to pretty much everybody. That's kind of that Irish SBG spirit that she's got.
Yeah, and she's a striker. So
Yeah,
I mean, she wants to stand. She wants to stand there and strike with her opponent.
yeah. But I'm really looking forward to it, though. See how if Leonard shows up looking, maybe not significantly different, but improved, getting ready for this big debut that she's got. Even if it's on the prelim, still a big deal.
Yeah.
Um, and make a splash officially in a featherweight division. We'll call that the Ultimate Fighter stint a little vacation, I guess, up in weight. But yeah, I got Sinead. I don't know about finish because Leonard is pretty tough. She's never been finished by strikes.
She's tough as
Obviously,
shit.
only two losses, but Sarah Kaufman submitted her, which was pretty impressive by Sarah, and was able to last to the third round. Not that Sarah hits incredibly hard or anything, but one of the most underrated female fighter ever. You could argue. I make that argument a lot, but I think Sinead is just going to be a little bit too much, a little too overwhelming, and with her size, power, all that stuff. So unanimous decision, I think, for Kavanaugh.
Yeah,
I'll believe in Leonard surviving.
yeah. I mean, I think that's the easy call. That's probably that's probably what will happen. Um, I don't know. Maybe Kavanaugh gets a finish. I don't.
I think it would be late if it happens.
Yeah, she has really good striking. Like she's a really good striker, to be honest. And she has power. So maybe she gets a knockout at some point in this fight. I'll go knockout Kavanaugh.
Ooh, I like it. I like it. Yeah, and I mean, when was her last fight? Was November. So I mean, itching to get back in there. Almost a full year since that
Sucks for
win.
a lot of these fighters. Like you're gonna look at their records, in a year or whatever. You're gonna be like, damn, they took a lot of time off. But really, a lot of time off.
Not by choice.
Well, because of a pandemic.
Yeah, madness, absolute madness. But yeah, that is Bellator for the weekend, you guys. This card is on Saturday. I don't know if it'll be going head to head with the UFC. I would assume it would be before the UFC, which
No,
is cool.
UFC starts super late. UFC starts at
But
like 4:30 prelims, and then like 7:30 main card time or something
for
like
this
that.
card,
Yeah, for this card coming up.
huh? That's interesting. Okay, they're doing pay-per-view times then, right? I mean,
Yeah,
I guess that
well,
makes sense because of Fight Island, right? So
yeah, but then with the Habib Nurmagomedov and Justin Gaethje fight, that's gonna be like super early in the morning for us, 11 o'clock or something, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock in the morning for you and I.
yeah, Habib's got that power, dude. He did
Oh,
it. What his
he totally
Poirier
has.
fight? It was an early event too.
Yep, he
You remember
totally
that?
has that power. Yeah, he wants. I mean,
Makes his
they will.
demands.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of Muslim MMA fans that are in Europe and across the world. So, and Habib is Habib is the man, dude. I don't know if you saw the list by who put out a list. It was top 5 combat sports. Habib is number 1. Habib is the number 1 top combat sports fighter as far as like
Popularity.
I tweeted it out. Let me find it.
At first, you just said he was the number one combat sport, and I was like, "What are we
He is the
getting at
number
here?"
one. He's the number 1 combat sport. He is combat sport.
He is combat sports. Smash.
He will smash in combat
Habib
sport.
smash. Oh boy, good fun there. I cannot wait for
I
that
don't know where it
one
went.
though. Oh well, we got
Oh,
3 fights on UFC Fight Island 4 to get to. Everybody who's still here with us, the stamina. Haven't seen you commented, buddy. Where'd you go? You still here? Which fight are you most looking forward to here? I
we
want to
put him
know.
to sleep. Yusuf,
Whoever, yeah,
ask
we
us
put
another
everyone
question.
to sleep with our non-UFC chat. It just shows that people are not very interested in the other fights. But
Bunch
too
of
bad.
casuals.
That's what we. It's a bunch of casuals. That's what our show's about. You know what you're in for. um,
Dave left early. And within
Dave
like
left early.
10 minutes, he was like, all right, I'm done.
Sleepy guy. Um, but yeah, 3 solid fights here on Fight Island 4, I would say.
Yeah,
So
no, I dig it. I dig this fight card. As far as the females go, um, Jinyu Frey and Loma Lukbunme. This is gonna be a fun scrap, dude. Love it. I love this fight actually.
it's an atom weight fight. It's straw weight.
Yeah,
Right? That's kind of the
yeah,
thing about it.
it's a good fight.
And UFC has an incorrect record here for Loma, you guys. She's not 1-1. She is 4-2. Um, so, so okay, the boys are still here. Good to see. We got a question from Yusuf here. Does Aldana? Okay, we will
Does
get to
Aldana
that. We will get to that. We'll get to that for when we talk to the fight.
Okay,
Jin versus
so
Loma first, buddy.
Jin Frey and Loma Lugunme. So you would think that Loma kind of pieces her up, right? But Jin Frey is really good.
Uh, yeah, I mean, obviously, Loma's Muay Thai is absolutely gorgeous.
Mm.
You know, kind of one of those underrated strikers who has that background from one of the other striking combat sports as well, who's competing in mixed martial arts. Um, yeah, she's obviously going to have that advantage, but I'm curious to see how big that they're going to look next to each other. I mean, Loma is very small, but we've seen her at strawweight more, obviously, than Jin. Jin has the length advantages here, but historically one of the best atom weights of all time. And in that strawweight fight against Kay Hansen in her debut, like I said, like we said, man, like I thought going in she was gonna look pretty outsized, but she really wasn't. She looked pretty good, fit size for strawweight. And even as you can see here in this picture, this is from that time and pretty. If we're gonna go based off these pictures, then yeah, she's gonna be bigger than Loma for sure. I mean, obviously that's kind of silly to do, but she looked very well physically and was powerful, and her striking did look very sharp in that first round against Kay, which was really the main round where it was on the feet. Um, so I think she's gonna probably have a power advantage, slight power advantage over Loma, but in terms of technique and all that stuff, clinch, volume, Loma's gonna have the edge. Um, but it'll be really fun to see how Jin deals with that because I think Jin probably prefers to strike in terms of rather than taking
Yeah, but
fights
does
to
she
the ground.
want to strike with Loma though? Man,
We'll see how
Loma
that
might
goes.
fucking turn it on and just put it on her ass.
Yeah, totally. So stamina
Yeah, this
here.
might be the most enjoyable fight of the three, and we're talking about Jermaine Durandamy. Oh,
Yeah, we got really man a striker's delight in terms of the
strikers,
ladies, man. Holy
complete
fuck.
strikers. Yeah, it's a strike with the three female fights that we have this week in the UFC card. They're all striking fights.
One, two, three, four. I mean, really four of the best strikers right now, and some all time, obviously. So, um, yeah, it's gonna be very interesting to see how that plays out. But I think that Jin. I just realized that I spelled her name wrong on the on the ticker there. Oh well. Um, yeah, if she gets starts losing badly in the striking, I could see her taking it down, but. I don't know. We will see, man. I mean, you look back at Loma's fight against Angela Hill, which was her last fight. She lost that one in February. Um, she did pretty good, even though it was a pretty clear win for Angela. Angela, a very similar style to hers, but a lot bigger, which kind of played a big part in that. So we will see. We will see if Jin can take her down. And I think she should be able to if she wants to. I think that she will be superior in that area. And like we've said already, the
Yeah,
size.
she could be, but
Um, Fuck.
I just don't see it happening. Like Loma is so good of a striker. I don't see her. I don't see her getting taken down. She'll keep her space away, with her kicks and her teeps and stuff.
Yeah, it sucks too because I don't want either of these these
It
fighters
could
to
be
lose right now.
it could be two in a row for Jin.
Man, that would be such a sad story. If Jin loses and just continues to lose in the UFC, it's a matter of getting there too late, because she's really had a full career at atomweight, and that has, affected her body, I think, kind of draining her. But, like I said, she didn't look horrible against Kay. I don't think it was just a matter of stylistically, Kay, had that advantage in the grappling, and it paid off there.
Yeah.
Man, this is kind of a coin flip for me, just because I think that this is a slightly better matchup for Jin compared to Kay Hansen, but it's tough, dude. It is tough. And
Yeah, I agree. Are you going with Jin or are you going with Loma?
championship experience too in Jin's corner. I mean, this is tough, dude. This is a really tough one to pick, but I think Jin will do it. I think that she will outgrapple her, get her down at some point in critical moments, but it's gonna be fucking close. I'm gonna say split decision on this one for Jin. I'm going with the former champ. I'm gonna take the MMA experience edge here.
Okay, well, I'm going with the fabulous striking of
I don't
Loma
blame you.
Kunme. Her Muay Thai is the best. She is literally a phenomenal Muay Thai striker. And I think, I hope that we're able to see her get that clinch work going. Her knees, her knees, her elbows, her kicks, her strikes. You know, oh man, I get it. I get Jin and her experience. I get it. Former champion. I totally understand. I just think, man, I just think that Loma is hungry and like she's just such a spectacular striker. I don't know. I don't, maybe I don't have the knockout, but I have like the points going Loma's way.
Yeah, totally fair pick, man. I'm a lot more excited for it now. Yeah.
It's a really fun fight though. Like it's striker's delight. This whole card, striker's delight as far as the three women's fights. Something to look forward to, actually.
Yeah, for sure. So that's our first split on the fight picks out of these ones. And okay, we'll do this one for you, Yusuf, here as we're talking about the strikers anyway, buddy.
Is Val a striker as a striker top 10 or 5 regardless of gender in the UFC? Yeah, Valentina Shevchenko is phenomenal. She is one of the best strikers in all of MMA. In all of MMA, you can throw anybody out there. Valentina Shevchenko is one of the best strikers in MMA. Gender doesn't matter.
Yep, I mean, yep, pretty undeniable. I'd say. I don't know exactly where I'd rank her. We would have to really look into that, between everybody. But she's absolutely top 10 and probably top 5 as well.
Yeah, so, top 10 for sure. Top
10
5.
Easy.
Top 10, top 5. Maybe we would have to kind of, like you said, we would kind of have to
probably go. Top 5 though, man. I mean, you think about it, like, just yeah, she's excellent. So
yeah,
but I mean, so is this lady who you could put in that conversation as well.
Germaine Durandamy returns. Her last time we saw her fight, she lost to Amanda Nunes, but who doesn't? Now she'll be taking on Juliana Pena, who had a lot to say, apparently. As Drake was texting me earlier, didn't hear about all this, but she has a lot to say. She's kind of full of herself, and I'm hoping that GDR takes care of this shit and just moves on.
Yeah, the old, the old Pena. I don't know if there's any way I can put it without coming off offensive to her if she was to hear me say it. So I guess I'll just leave it as the whole expectations in herself, I guess. Let's put it that way. I don't know.
She has high expectations, and she's very she loves herself as a fighter. She's she's talking about Amanda Nunes. Come on, bro. Like, you don't want to fight Amanda Nunes.
Okay, well, if we can say what she said that Amanda Nunes has been, fighting handpicked opponents like the whole time that she's been out, and that if she wins, then she absolutely 100% should get the title shot. She thinks she'll get the title shot. And it's
no, you shouldn't though. Like,
like it kind of depends on the main event. Like,
right?
Like right. Totally.
I mean, maybe if Holly wins, hopefully she doesn't. We'll get to that. Then I would be like, okay, give Pena that goddamn shot. Fuck it. But if Aldana wins, you don't get a title
She
shot.
already should be getting it. Aldana
Yeah,
should already be getting
Aldana
it.
should already be in that fight. Like, she should be fighting for a title, not against Holly Holm.
Yeah.
But we'll get to that.
Yeah, we will get to that. And before we get to before we get to really breaking this down, which I don't think there's really much to break down, to be honest. I think we kind of broke it down when it was announced. But nonetheless, here's ranting time. Are you ready to rant with me, buddy? Because I know you'll be on my side with this. I know you'll be on my side with this. But the fact that this fucking fight is not the co-main event drives me absolutely fucking insane. It pisses me off so much. Like,
Yeah. Jermaine is the number one bantamweight.
the number one rated contender going against, I don't know what Pena's ranked, but
He is number 4. That's a big fight.
Either way, 1-4. The
Number one.
co-main event of this fucking card, the co-main event is between two unranked heavyweight prospects, right? I don't even remember what the fight is. Well, I can see it right here, right? It's Yorgan De Castro and Carlos Felipe. Yorgan De Castro, didn't he just get knocked out by Greg Hardy? Like,
Yeah.
are you, dude? That makes me so mad.
It's just not showing love to the women. I mean, Holly Holm and Irene Aldana, they weren't going to be the pay-per-view or the main event either.
They were co-main though.
They were co-main event. They were going to be. So imagine Jermaine Durandamy and Juliana Pena, like opening up the main card. Had we seen Santos Thiago Santos and Glover Teixeira.
I mean, yeah, the Stamina. I was reading his comment. He said it pissed off DDR2, and I know.
Heated.
I'm
She was
glad.
heated. Yeah, I mean, fuck it. Why wouldn't you be heated? Like, she's not getting any love.
Former champion, obviously say whatever you want. She shouldn't. That fight obviously shouldn't have been for a title, but former champion, just came off of a title fight. Like,
yeah.
And okay, there's also another thing. Forget. Even if they were not as highly ranked as they are, let's say they're top 15 at all. That right there still deserves to be over the heavyweight fight. First of all, these are subjectively, no, it's objectively, right? I always get those two mixed up. Just better fighters than the heavyweights. And why from a promotional standpoint, this is the big thing that if you want to go business talk, forget everything I just said. Don't actually, but I'm just going to say that for the sake of argument. From a promotional standpoint, why would you not just go all out, promote the bantamweight division in your top two fights here, especially the bantamweight division, which it's not, as we were talking about the Ketlin Vieira post-fight aftermath and all that. I mean, there's still the contender's lifeblood, there's blood, new blood there and all that, but like, it's still not as clear as, other fighters, not too many exciting, fresh matchups and contenders for Amanda Nunes, who is obviously a big deal in her own right. Why wouldn't you promote this division and try and, when this is kind of it's not a mini tournament necessarily, but a showcase for, okay, we have potential challengers for the greatest fighter of all time. Why not just go all out with that? Hey, these are two pretty important fights for this division where she's beating absolutely everybody and has beaten two of these people already. Like,
yeah, pretty crazy, wild. I mean, the UFC, the shit that they do. I mean, they're the top promotion in mixed martial arts. Yes, they are, but they do some stupid ass shit. This is one of them. I mean, why wouldn't they be the co-main event above Yorgan De Castro? Who the fuck is Yorgan De Castro? Who is this dude? He just got knocked out by Greg Hardy again.
That was a decision, wasn't it? That was a decision, actually. Either way.
Oh, I thought he got knocked out, but okay, he lost to Greg Hardy, who isn't exactly a top billed fighter.
I mean, they bill him that way, unfortunately, but
well, they like to bill him that way. Yeah. They want him to be billed that way. Do the fans want that?
But even even that Hardy fight against DeCastro, that wasn't like, Hardy co-main event, which has been ridiculous in the past, of course. But I don't know. I just don't know how you can, you can see the how you think that fight is probably going to be better. Like, sure, this fight could be pretty lame if Pena does what she needs to do, right? But I don't know. I don't know. Just a transition from there. It's all ridiculousness. It's happening as it is. Um,
So who do you have winning?
so this fight, obviously, striker versus grappler, pretty practically the definition of it. You look at somebody who, Juliana Pena at one point was just a shockingly terrible striker for a top, ranked top 10, top 5 ranked fighter. At a point, her striking has gotten better since then, but
Nah,
it's, still, yeah, I mean, it used to be very bad. Okay. It used to be absolutely
yeah, it was
ridiculous.
terrible.
If you look at like the Jessica I fight, for example, that's the one I always go back to,
Yeah, it was
where it
pretty
was
terrible.
very shocking. But yeah, it's gotten better since then. That's saying what it is, I guess. But either way, nobody's going to improve to the level that Jermaine Durandamy is on, so it just doesn't matter, right? And we've seen how successful and aggressive that she has been with her, her wrestling and grappling abilities, takedowns, all that stuff. That's what you need to do. You need to be spamming that here against GDR, who we've seen struggle in that area before. That's been her really only area, that she's had trouble in because she's such a phenomenal kickboxer, one of the best kickboxers, one of the best strikers out of all, everybody. But her takedown defense has gotten better and better over time as well, as we've seen in recent fights. Obviously, Amanda Nunes was able to get her down, but I mean that's Amanda Nunes. Um, but you look at before that, I think it was looking well improved, especially compared to past fights and whatnot. Either way, it's cut and dry. I think what needs to happen here. Jermaine wants to keep it on the feet. Of course, she was talking in her interviews today about, I could submit her. Anything can happen in a fight. She's kind of that attitude. Which yes, it's true. But we know that the best path to victory here is for her on the feet, just icing Juliana Pena
She
early.
has to
Which
strike.
yeah, I mean, whoops, didn't want to do that.
She
Pena
has
needs
to
to get
strike
it to
with
the
her.
ground. Absolutely needs. I think that Pena needs to get it to the ground more than GDR needs to keep it on the feet. Let's put it that way. Not that I think GDR will submit Juliana Pena, even though she was actually throwing up some arm bars and stuff in Nunez's guard, which was
Crazy.
pretty impressive, even
That
though
was
we
wild.
weren't too close. I mean, just threatening with it. That's more than we've seen from her in the past. Um, so yeah, like I said, Pena needs it on the ground a lot more than GDR needs it on the feet. But either way, I think that Pena, man, her arrogance is obviously back. Let's put it that way. I think she might be a little overconfident in her abilities, and she's gonna get knocked the fuck out because of it. Even if she wasn't, she would probably run directly into something. I think. I mean, hey, it's totally. I wonder what the odds are for this because it's totally fair to think that Pena could out wrestle her, which is what she needs to do. Like I'm gonna just continue to say, but in the end, GDR on the feet can do whatever, absolutely whatever she wants to Pena. So, and even if she can get in the clinch, it's trouble there. I mean, I think Pena's getting finished. Let's put it that way. I'm gonna say first round she'll knock her out. I'm gonna go with that.
Yeah, I don't know about first round. I think Pena's tough as shit. She's a very tough fighter. Her wrestling is really good. Obviously, that's her bread and butter. She wants to wrestle. She'll want to go down. I don't know about clinching. She might not want to clinch with Jermaine. She'll
Yeah,
want to get the takedown though.
yeah.
Um, but Jermaine, you would one would think that she would finish her with her striking, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, she has to. Like that has to happen. Um, she she's a better fighter, all around fighter than Juliana Pena. I would say that she's an all around better
When you
fighter.
look at the like levels of her skills, yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah.
Even
So
though we do forget that Pena is a very good, grappler and all that, but I mean, man, still that striking of Jermaine's is, pretty rare.
yeah,
So
I'm gonna go Jermaine Durandamy finish probably second, third round.
Man, I absolutely love how Stamina puts his words together because it's totally right. He's on point.
Pena can linger her way to a win, or GDR can punch her face off, toss a coin. Yeah, I mean that's what it's gonna be.
One or the other.
Yeah,
One or the other. I kind I do, even though I love back and forth competitive fights, I do like ones like this where it's so obvious what needs to happen, right?
yeah,
And what will happen. This is total
right.
50-50 situation here.
Yeah, because then we're gonna be like, oh shit, maybe Pena is better than we thought, or we're gonna be like, oh shit, maybe Jermaine Durandamy is better on the ground than we thought. You
Yeah.
know, like, I don't know. We'll see. It's a fun fight though.
If she can, final note here, if she manages to submit Pena, that would be like when Shevchenko submitted Pena because nobody really saw that coming either. Pretty similar situation here, except Jermaine bigger than Valentina and more aggressive. I think that's safe to say. So
Yeah, that would be pretty dope, but I don't think it's
yeah,
gonna happen. I
yeah,
mean,
that's a stretch.
anything can happen, but I
Well,
don't think
that
it will happen.
yeah.
I don't think it will happen.
All right, on to our main event, folks.
Yes, the
On to
main
it.
event. The number 2 ranked Holly Holm against the number 6 ranked Irene Aldana, who should be ranked higher than number 6. Let's be honest, she should be ranked higher than Juliana Pena.
Yeah, that's insane.
That's ridiculous. I mean, that's
Dude, Pena came back after what
that's
two
wild.
years off and beat Nico, and got placed directly back where she was before.
Right.
It's kind of
That's
fucked up.
yeah, it's just wild. I mean, we were kind of talking that the UFC um they backed they backed Juliana Pena a lot, and
Yeah,
then they kind of didn't, but that's because she had a kid. But you look at the rankings, they're keeping her ranked higher than people that she shouldn't be ranked higher than. I mean, she's ranked higher than Irene Aldana, who many of us, you and I, Drake, think should be in the title fight right now, fighting Amanda Nunes. She's ranked higher than Ketlin. She's ranked higher than Raquel Pennington.
silly.
She shouldn't be.
Just silly.
She shouldn't be ranked higher than any of those 3 fighters who I just said.
No, no, she should not.
And Holly Holm sure in the fuck shouldn't be fighting for a title fight. If she wins this fight, which please don't win this fucking fight. I I want Aldana to put an exclamation mark on this shit. End the fight. Make your call out of Amanda Nunes. That's what I want to happen. Because
Yeah.
Holly Holm does not deserve another title fight. Does not deserve another title fight.
Man, it's funny too because like I when I think about this fight, I really I don't see Holly getting a finish if she wins. I mean, sure she could, she absolutely could, but I mean, what Irene has only been finished by like Tanya Evinger, right? And that was on the ground.
Yeah, that was a long time ago too.
Yeah, and she was sick for that
She
fight
got,
too, like
yeah,
food
she's gotten
poisoning,
so much
something
better. She's gotten so much better.
significantly better. Yeah,
Yeah,
that was kind of early too when she got that
yeah,
title
that was
shot.
a long time ago.
But point is, I don't. And she's a good enough striker to where I don't think that she will get caught with something silly, off a counter from Holly and or whatever it may be. Um, and I think that there are some similarities to draw here from this matchup to Irene versus Caitlin Chukagian. Because if you guys remember, they did fight in what's that was Aldana's second UFC fight, I believe, and Chukagian ended up getting the win there, but split decision. Very, 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 very close fight. I think that. Man, I think I just barely edged it to Aldana. It came down to like the last 30 seconds, like minute. It was really close throughout. I think Caitlyn kind of won that first round, but then as the fight went on, got very close. Aldana just kept, she was forced to kind of pressure, and she's gotten better since that fight, obviously. And having had to deal with, I compared Chukagian and Holly Holm in certain ways that they fight. Obviously, with the way that they move, and I think that Chukagian throws out a little bit, slightly more volume with her setups and all that, but Holly kind of depends on the matchup for her. So having gone through that experience in the past, something similar Aldana has, I think that helps her. And, she's obviously better than she was. She's better now than she was then, like I was saying. So just really got to cut off Holly in this case. And then it'll be interesting to see how they fare against one another. And, the clinch exchanges are up against the cage when they're going for body locks, which I think we might see a little bit of that. But I don't know, man. I feel like I don't know. It's tough. Obviously, I think that Aldana, she can finish it. I think she's more likely to finish it than Holly is, even though, we've seen those highlights from Holly, even though I guess it's kind of really just the Betch and Ronda. Those are really the only real highlights that we got at her, unless I'm forgetting something. But it obviously hasn't been too much of the same since she was the champion. Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like Aldana's going to be able to land more effectively, consistently, attack the legs. I think she should be able to cut off the cage if she's pressuring, if she doesn't let Holly dictate. But I don't see that happening. Her confidence is at an all-time high. This is a big moment for her. 5 rounds. I don't know if that helps or hurts her. What would you say about the additional 2 rounds, man?
I think it helps Aldana.
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah, I don't think that it hurts Aldana at all. I think that she needs a 5-round fight. If she's
with somebody like Holly,
if she's gonna win, and she's gonna probably get a title fight after this against Amanda Nunes, she needs a 5-round fight in her. To go to deep waters. And I think that Holly will take her there. She's good enough. A former champion. She's a really good striker. Aldana's just better.
As of late, yeah, I would agree with that.
Her boxing is phenomenal. I get it. Holly Holm was a good boxer back in the day. It was a long time ago. Aldana has really stepped up her striking game. Her whole MMA game. She's a total package at this point.
And think about the miles Holly has on her at this point too.
She's a ton. She's been in three title fights.
Yeah, and her whole life though. Dating back to her boxing days and kickboxing days.
Yeah, she's been in absolute fucking wars.
Yeah, taking some punishment. So it's like, will that chin be more susceptible to? The Rocky fight. She did a good job of the Rocky rematch, I should say. Holly did a great job of obviously stifling all of Pennington's game. That fight was really not good. So we didn't really get to see her get cracked or anything by Raquel. But Raquel obviously hasn't been much of a knockout artist or powerful striker. Man, if Aldana lands clean on Holm, who has continued to take damage over the years, and we've seen her get knocked out, a couple times now. Dude, yeah, Aldana could sleeper, but
I hope so. I'm
that would be huge.
That's what happens? Yeah, I want Irene to just end it, end the fiasco with Holly Holm. Just end this shit. Make your call out of Amanda Nunes, and that's a wrap. That's what I'm hoping happens. That's what I think happens. I'm gonna pick Aldana knockout 3rd round.
Ooh, love it. But yeah, I'm going with Aldana too. I think that fresher. She's got the momentum as well. Everything's kind of lining up for her. And man, it's kind of funny, man. I've seen people, kind of shitting on her recently too. I was like, people really don't think that she's as good as she is after what we've seen from her lately. That was a little bit surprising, but yeah,
Wild.
I think that Aldana's going to be able to just be more effective consistently, land the bigger, harder shots because, Holly's biggest shots are really off her counters. Really. So it's going to come, and it's not like she lands those in rapid succession either. They kind of come few and far between. Yeah, sure. Aldana will get hit with some of them, but I think she'll be able to eat them for the most part and then just land better as time goes on. And eventually catch the former champion. I'm gonna go with main event rounds though. I think round 4 TKO for Irene.
I hope.
Um,
I
and
hope
I
that
could
it
even
happens
see it on the
later.
ground too. I could even
Yeah.
see her tripping her and maybe pounding her out too. I mean,
Yeah.
and we've
I
seen
hope.
submission skills from Irene in the past before as well. So
Oh yeah, for sure. I hope that it happens. I hope that she goes to the fourth and fifth rounds. That's what she needs because that's
dude,
what she's gonna get in a fight against Amanda Nunes.
if she finishes Holly, dude, I think that could be the official launch to the Aldana Mexican superstar train. You know what I'm saying? Like if
I would hope so. Yeah, because
and if
she
she
deserves.
can become champion, she will be an absolute superstar in Mexico.
Dude, Mexico would fucking eat
Massive.
her up. Yeah, Mexico would eat her up. They would love her to death. Mexico, they have the best fight fans in the world. Some of the best fight fans in the world. They are legit fight fans, legit boxing fans.
Yeah. Yep, and she's got quite
Okay,
good
so
boxing.
you and I both picked Aldana to win. Yusuf asked the question: does Aldana have the skill set to beat Nunes? She has. I think that she has the skill set, but until I see Nunes lose, I am picking her.
Yeah, Nunes has reached
I
that upper echelon of
Yeah, if I'm a better though, I would put my money on Aldana, which I am a better. I will put my money on Aldana in that fight against Nunes because she'll be an underdog, and I mean, I believe so much in Aldana that if she were to pull it off, then I'd be like, okay, that's my girl. Plus, I get money.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, we'll see, man. Yeah, it's funny you mentioned the thing about can't pick against her. I mentioned that in the lead up to RIZIN 24. Actually, like tensions on that level. I think at this point there are certain fighters who have reached that. Hey, until I see something, and I mean, okay, look at this, Yusuf. Let's look back to Nunes's last. Well, not her last fight. The last fight was Spencer, but her fight against GDR, her last bantamweight title defense. I mean, yes, GDR is a better striker than Aldana. She's a better striker than mostly everybody. But Aldana very capable, of course, a very good striker. GDR, she beat Nunes on the feet. Every time that fight was on the feet, she hurt Nunes in that second round. Easy to forget because it was predominantly one-sided in the grappling department. But we saw the champ get a little bit tagged by a striker who is not reckless or running at her with her face like Cyborg did, and heat of the moment for Cyborg, maybe whatever you call it, what it is, but I don't think Aldana would do that as well. She could definitely land some good shots. She's gonna take some in her own right. It would just come down to how the takedown defense holds up again. It's one I think that she's a good enough striker to hang in there. Don't know. It's hard to pick, obviously, against Nunes in any area until we see a lot more significant trouble, even though she did have trouble with GDR in that area, like we said. But that's not surprising. That shouldn't have been surprising going in. That's how I felt about it anyway, and I think that we did talk about that at the time, even though I'm not sure if we were doing the show at the time. We still talked about it and whatnot. So yeah, I think Aldana has the skill set for the most part, but it's really hard to tell. You can feel this way until you kind of see it. It's kind of that thing. Like I felt
Yeah,
that. Well, okay, to beat Nunes it's different. Like like looking at the Spencer fight, it felt like there were obviously areas where Felicia could do pretty well. We thought, right? But to beat her, Nah, that wasn't. Nah, I don't know
It's
about
tough.
that.
It's tough to pick against the greats. I mean,
Yeah.
Amanda Nunes is the best female fighter ever. It's hard to pick against her. Like it was hard when George St. Pierre was in his prime and fighting regularly. It was really hard to pick against him. Really hard to pick against John Jones. I don't think I've ever picked against John Jones. I don't think I ever will. Even if he fights Stipe Miocic, I would probably pick John Jones. The Amanda Nunes is that level of a fighter. Irina Aldana could get there, I guess. I mean, I hope for her because she's such a cool person, really good MMA fighter. It would be huge for her, for her gym, for Mexico. But Amanda Nunes she's the best. Until you beat her, you got to beat the best to be the best, and it's tough to beat the best.
Putting it mildly, my man. Putting it mildly.
Man,
So
good
that yeah,
question.
yeah, I think that's the best way we could probably put it. But
It's a good question.
yeah,
I want this to be amazing for Irene, but I fear worry this one is going to be a bit of on the dull side. I don't know why all these internet kids are still convinced Holm has a head kick and waiting for anyone. Right? She has one head kick against not a great striker in Ronda Rousey.
and she has the other one against Betch, but that one's it is
Well,
what
I
it
mean, that just a cockroach.
is. Here we go. And remind you all how absolutely horrible that fight was. That was one of the worst
Terrible.
fights probably ever.
It
That
was
had
terrible.
it was 100%. I actually did an article about this. It was in on my list for worst fights of all time that had a highlight reel finish at the end, right? Like
Terrible fight. I mean,
that's literally the only highlight from that fight.
it was really nice to see Holly Holm do it. The ending was great, but to get to the ending, it was fucking horrid.
Yeah. And that was a layup too for Holly. That was supposed to be like a big time showcase comeback
Right.
win, and kind of stunk. And just, I mean, she got just what she needed, but
Yeah,
was
she
like,
got that head kick. But I mean, she's known as the person who head kicked Ronda Rousey, the unbeatable at that time, Ronda Rousey, right?
yeah,
That's what she's known for in MMA. That was a long fucking time ago. Like that was
25
so
years ago
that
now,
was so
dude.
long ago. Like get it out of your head that Holly Holm is this fucking great fighter. She really isn't. I mean, she's good, but she's not one of the best, and she keeps fucking cockroaching her way to a title fight. Like she beats Irene, and she's gonna get a fucking title fight. You can see it. You can see it.
I love the way that you put this stamina. That's fair. That's a fair way to...
Home career was embarrassingly competitive. Betch threw a win in the bin that night. Yeah, like it was just terrible. It was a terrible fucking fight, and then it was a great ending because cockroaches deserve to lose.
Yeah, I mean, I will be surprised if the fight looks anything like that one, just because that was kind of exactly what goes wrong with Holly's style when the opponent isn't pushing the pace on her,
Yeah,
right? Because you look at the absolute opposite of that, which is the Ronda fight, where they're going way too hard and they get fucked up. But when they don't do shit and wait for Holly, for the most part, that's the badness that we can see where there's
yeah,
almost no strikes thrown through 2.5 rounds, and the referee has to tell you to be more active because that did happen in the fight.
yeah.
Um,
Wild, fucking
but
wild, man. So
Aldana has
at
been
least we
another
both
fun
have
one.
Aldana winning this fight.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. Yep.
The only one that we didn't agree on was
The
Loma
strawweight, yeah,
and Fry.
and that's most likely to be the best one. I mean, if we look at,
Eh, I would
I don't
think
know,
so.
let's do this question for I would say for obviously for us, and then for our spectators here, Yusuf and Stamina. I mean, the best fight out of the weekend here. We got. I mean, we got a couple of them. Okay, there's two more that we didn't break down, obviously, but we got one, two on Bellator, and then okay, five total, three on the UFC show. Keyholtz Jackson, Kavanaugh, Lanner, and then these ones we just talked about. It's probably Frey and Loma. That's probably the I'm most likely to be the best one, right?
Yeah, I mean, I would think so, but I think Aldana and Holm is going to be high level MMA.
Yeah.
I really,
Thanks
I
to
really,
Aldana.
yeah, I really do think it's going to be high level MMA. It's going to be strikers delight, like what we said. They're both strikers. I think it'll be a fun fight. I would probably go Holm and Aldana as the best fight of the three, but the most exciting might be Loma and Fry though.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair to say. Yeah, when there's those two extra rounds too, it kind of gives it an unfair advantage.
Yeah, absolutely. Even though I don't see it going the
Yeah.
full five or even into the main event rounds.
Yep. Yep. But so I mean, all interesting fights though, all interesting
Yeah,
aspects to them.
for
Denise
sure.
Keyholtz, really excited to see she keep that rolling. Kavanaugh Leonard, intrigue there with, Kavanaugh continuing to look solid if she can look solid in the loss or win. Leonard's debut, obviously. Then, Jin looking for that elusive first UFC win. Loma looking to rebound. GDR and Pena, striker versus grappler. If see what happens there, and then obviously this one, fuck, this is big. This is a big night for the bantamweight division.
Yeah,
Obviously,
it is massive night for the ladies.
if Jermaine and Holly both win, then it's it's honestly, as much as I do really enjoy Jermaine and everything. It's worse for her to win because she recently lost. But
I want Jermaine to win. Obviously, I mean,
yeah,
I love her. I don't want Holly to win. I really don't. That's like coming from my fucking my whole heart.
I hate that we've gotten to this point too, because nobody like hates Holly Holm as a person, right?
I
It's
don't like
just
it.
because of
I
how
don't. It's just
the UFC's done this.
it's the way that they've treated her. Like she's the superior queen, and she really isn't.
Yeah, it's a bummer. It's a
There's so many Holly Holm fans too. If they heard us, they'd be so mad.
I feel like they would understand though at this point. at least,
I
at
don't
least.
think that they would.
I mean, they're not the worst fan base out there.
No,
Let's
they're
be
not. But
real.
not even close to the worst. There's some bad fucking. There's some bad fans out there that are.
As we kind of talked about off the top, in regards to Esther, but so
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Okay, so what do you got going on this week?
well, hold on. Before we wrap things up here, I will not miss this one for you, Yusuf. I know that it's
Oh, I didn't even
yeah,
see that.
yeah.
Guys, I'm losing my patience. Yeah, me too. UFC needs to book Wiley versus Rose ASAP. Got Wiley. Yeah, we've kind of talked about this.
Couple
Drake and
times
I.
now because we
Yeah,
have been waiting.
it's getting to that time where we need to see Wiley now. Her last fight was against Rose Namajunas back in March. We need to see
Joanna, Joanna.
or Joanna Jacek. Yeah, back in March. That thriller of a fight. We need to see her now. We need to see her. Um, Much like Yusuf, I'm growing a little impatient. I want at least some
Oh
news.
man, now that kind of I'm thinking back to what we kind of talked about earlier, but going back to the Vera conversation, fuck, dude, we might actually be a little bit fucked here in terms of having to wait because, like I mentioned, no fight. I was okay. So before I mentioned this, I was thinking, oh, they should toss this on to UFC 255, the one with Megan and Nunes, and then they'll probably put Burns and Usman on there, stack it up for a three title fight card. They've done that before. That's a really unique mix too of the strawweight, featherweight, and welterweight title being on the line on one night. I think
It'd be fun.
that's cool. That's a unique thing. But and they've done year-end shows with 3. Obviously, they did that last year. Why
Yeah.
not do it again? But then what hit me right after that was, oh fuck, that is an Apex show. Wei Li's going to need a fight on Fight Island, which is probably the reason for this holdup here. Now that I think about it,
Yeah.
um, we
Unfortunately.
don't know the dates for that, but it's next year, so we might not, most likely won't be seeing Wei Li until
Crazy,
2021,
dude.
guys.
Crazy. A lot of months in between her winning,
Well,
her defending her title.
I mean, Yan Jiaonan got to the States. She got here early, but now does she have to go fly? No, she's gonna still fight here in America, I think. But I mean, she made it, so I guess there's hope. I guess there is hope. And that's the card I would do it on, right? 255. You gotta put Whaley on a pay per view like that at this point. That would be really awesome against Rose too. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
Hell of a fight. Man, it would be so fun. So much fun. I would actually probably pick Rose Namajunas.
Ooh. Bold early picks. Bold early picks. Be good. Will be good. So.
Is there even any other UFC fighter in history on the brink of their 5th title shot like Holm just might be, particularly for having been in the UFC 5 years? It actually turns my stomach right. Like, at this point, it's just fucking annoying, dude.
Yeah, Uriah Faber didn't even reach that.
Jake, welcome. Aldana throws in combinations, Mexican boxing style. Abu Dhabi judges live on volume. Aldana throws a lot more speed per minute, 6.4 to Holly's 2.75. Ooh, that's a great fucking stat. I love it. I love
I
it.
mean,
Considering
we pretty much said that with our breakdown. I mean, it's
right. I mean,
yeah.
but I mean, that's
Statistically, yeah.
yeah, that's a really good stat. Like I I like that stat a lot. Thank you for that stat. Actually,
Aldana, I mean, she's pretty up there in some of the stats. I was retweeting some of them
yeah, she's a beast.
too.
Yeah,
I
she's
think she's top. She is the number one most significant strikes landed in like the time. I'm gonna pull it up, but it's one of those kind of stats. Let me see here. What do we got here? Sorry, guys, where is it? Oh no.
yeah, she's a monster though.
Okay, she's number 2 in most significant strikes per minute with 6.16. Is that the same stat that he showed? No,
No, it's not.
but yeah, right behind Leslie Smith too. So that's impressive. And then yeah, okay, that was the one I was thinking of. But yeah, most significant strikes per minute in UFC women's bantamweight history. And I mean, she's got I mean, she's had a decent amount of fights now, but still a good stat, of course.
Yep, I
So,
like it.
so yeah. All right, I think that about does it.
Yep.
Does it.
So what do you have going on this week?
What do I have going on this week? Well, working on the lineup for episode 3 of Broadened Horizon. If you guys haven't checked it out yet, check it out. It is on mymmanews.com. It's on my YouTube channel. You can find that, my name, Drake Riggs. That is the name of the channel as well, where I talk to all your favorite RIZIN/Japanese superstars and, maybe even some other ones outside of the promotion in English, because obviously that's the whole point of it. Talking and expanding the horizons for those fighters who don't get the exposure the same from international media. So yes, check that show out. Working on the lineup for episode 3. If I get everybody I'm hoping to get, another great lineup. So we've had 8 great guests through 2 episodes so far. And then today I just spoke with the co-founder of O2 Industries, Rich Saz. I believe that's how you say his last name. That will be dropping soon. They just struck a multi-year deal with the UFC about using their new respirator mask type things. You saw, if you go and watch the weigh-ins or any of the UFC 253 stuff, you could see that they were using them all week and everything. And I'm going to be getting one to try it out for myself here in the coming days as it's shipped to me. But yeah, so the mask guy, that's what we can call him, the mask guy. It was an interesting conversation to hear about, how that whole side of business and whatnot. So that is coming out soon. Working on other stuff as always that I'm probably forgetting, but yeah, those are the main things right now. So what about you, my
I
man?
have an
Oh, you got
MMA
one, yeah.
an MMA Inc. Interview. It's done. I wrapped it up already. I just got to put it out with Joey Beltran, uh, bare knuckle fighting championship heavyweight champion. He will be fighting October 10th. Um, of course, he was UFC uh, in the UFC prior. And then I'm working on a couple other BKFC fighters for MMA Inc. as well, and then trying to get a couple people. It's just not lining up. It's crazy, man. For MMA Inc., I'm really trying to focus on MMA Inc. Man, if you have not already, check out my interviews with fighters about their tattoos on YouTube, MMA Inc. Yeah, not doing a
Yeah,
whole lot
cool.
of writing right now. Just kind of in a funk with the writing thing, but I should pick up again. I don't know.
Of course, and we'll answer you guys here with these last ones before we leave. But of course, follow us at Drake Riggs _. Follow the Scrap, subscribe to the Scrap, and follow Steve at Steve K _ MMA,
Yes.
Twitter, Instagram, all that good stuff. But Stamina, no, I have not.
Oh,
But Steve,
I reached out. I'm actually gonna reach out to Campbell McLaren now. Serrano said that she would talk to me, so I hope to talk to Amanda Serrano and get answers for you, Stamina. It's been a couple of weeks now. I know.
good thing you reminded him though.
Trying to get there. I'm trying to get there, Stamina. Trying to get there with the answers. Yusuf asked it his last question of the night. Hopefully, does Maya have a chance against Val? Yeah, absolutely.
Yep, I totally agree. I mean, without going into too much depth, I mean, this is Jennifer Maya we're talking about. Obviously, still been kind of slept on even afterwards. Everyone's going to be slept on against Valentina for the most part, especially the natural flyweights. But I mean, Jennifer Maya, one of the greatest flyweights of all time. You could argue she is the greatest. I mean, I'd have to really look into that, but she was at a time the greatest, no doubt about it. On top of the world as the #1 ranked flyweight worldwide. Yeah, she has a chance, and I mean the fact that she continues to get slept on, I think that kind of gives her a better chance and more motivation. Like people, even though JoJo was coming in on short notice, they underestimated her in that matchup, and we saw what happened. She looked absolutely great.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I think that she definitely has a chance. I mean, how big of a chance? I mean, it's always hard to say, and against Valentina, you can always have your hope and whatnot, and have good faith. But then she goes out and styles on him. But
Yeah,
I give Jennifer Maya probably
for sure.
a better chance
Than anybody really
than recent than Jessica
recently. I
I.
mean, just yeah,
I had
exactly.
to I had to do it.
Yeah, I mean that's exactly who I was thinking about. Than Jessica I. I mean, look what happened to that girl. But I mean, Calderwood was amazing. She did really great. Um, but yeah, I think Maya has a chance to beat Valentina. Absolutely.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's gonna be a fun fight
Forward
for
to
sure.
it.
Okay, until next week, y'all. Thank you for coming on, Yusuf, Stamina, Dave, Jake, and whomever else is lurking and not commenting. Thank you for watching us on a weekly basis. Our numbers keep going up, and that's because of you guys. Thank you so much. Until next week, peace, y'all.
Peace.